Hello, friends. Welcome to the first live stream of our newest class on how to build a business through die cutting. Hello, hello. I'm going to see if this thing is going to work and everything like that. So let's see if we are live. So I think it just has went live. So hello, welcome to the live stream. I am so excited to be here tonight. This is our first session. I kind of look tan from where I was in Palm Springs, but whether you're watching live with us, watching the recorded right after this weekend, or if you're part of the e-course, 6 weeks from now, a year from now, welcome. We are so excited to have each and every one of you. So yes, hello Mary, hello Judy. I am so excited to have you guys here as always. It's a fun live stream. I think it's something that I'm excited to chat about over the course of these 5 different lessons. And it's not only, things about die cutting, because you guys know how to craft. We know we can craft, right? But talking about business and different things like that really gets me excited. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun for everyone. Hello, Peggy. But yeah, so I'm super excited to have everyone. I'm trying to position my screen where we have the chat box, and I can make sure everything's working as well. But before we jump into it, share with me where you're visiting from and if you have any questions before we get started, because once we get started where our recorded friends are not able to be here live with us, I don't want to have to interrupt their experience with questions and different things like that. So please save all of your questions till the end. You guys know I can see the comments like scrolling up. So I will be scrolling up at the end to see different comments and questions. But just please remember that we're going to try to keep all the questions towards the end so that we're able to section that out. Patty, I saw that you're back home in Washington. Yay! So happy for you. Hello from Nevada. No questions here. Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen and then we're going to just get started into the very first week of class. So if you don't already have this presentation slideshow, there's like 21 slides in the presentation, and it gives a bunch of resources for different things, but it also just kind of is my notes for tonight's session. So I emailed that to everyone like 2 days ago, and Leah, did it start? Hello, Leah. I emailed that 2 days ago. So if you didn't receive it, let me know and I'll give you a copy. It's in PDF form and it's really easy to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we are going to get started. So welcome. All right. So let me make sure that this is shared over here properly, that you guys can see my screen. I believe so. And we are going to get started. So, all right, welcome everyone to, oh, we're having some issues. I don't see or hear anything. Oh no, refresh, can someone let her know to refresh her screen? Leah, there we go. Anyway, guys, welcome to tonight's first session for Start a Business with Your Die Cutting Machine. And what I needed to sort of sit down and decide was what we were going to start with. So there's so many different places that we could start with when talking about building a business, and particularly through crafting and creating. So everyone knows that I love to craft, and I'm sure all of you love to craft as well. So that's awesome, and usually us creatives are all over the place. We're wanting to go this way, we want to die cut, but we also want to stamp, we want to create vinyl signs, everything like that leads us into going in all of these different directions, which is a lot of fun as a creative individual. But as you guys can imagine, if you're running a business and going through all of these different areas and bouncing back and forth, you're not building a actual business that is going to be sustainable and actually grow and scale. So one of the things that I've been through in my business is I have shifted a lot throughout what I do as a service-based business, through everything that I have done throughout my past 8 years online has been really interesting and different. So what I wanted to start with today was talking about crafting your brand and how to develop your niche. And your niche can evolve as you evolve, as mine has over the past, 8 years. But for whatever business that you have in your head right now that you want to start, and if you don't have an idea of something that you would like to sell as of right now, that is not a problem, because as we go through this lesson tonight and going into the next and the first 2 to 3 lessons, this is going to be perfect to help you guys decide what you're really wanting to get out of this, what you're really going to, want to provide, a lot of the background. So if you don't even have an idea, you just know that you're interested in this, don't feel bad at all. But if you have an idea and you really need to figure out who's the audience, what product offerings, and different things like that, this is going to be great for you as well. So pretty much anyone, it's awesome. But as you guys know, I'm going to switch to our next slide. So you guys know me from making the craft videos and doing everything on my YouTube channel, but a lot of what people are not too familiar with is that I have done a lot of things on the internet. So since 2010, I have been creating videos and really just started out to inspire people to create and to craft. So it's been a long, long journey that I've been super excited about, and every pivotal moment and everything that I've done in my business has really been to inspire people to craft and to create and really just share inspiration online. And one thing that I think I noticed at such a young age was that with the power of the internet, you can inspire more than just your community of people. We've been able to meet all over the place. I was able to meet up with a viewer and a member of Makers Gonna Learn while I was out in Palm Springs, Judy, and we had so much fun just talking, and it's been so awesome, throughout the past 8 years to see all of the people you're able to connect to. So anyway, aside from work, I love hanging out with my friends. I am pretty much the same person online that I am in real life. So if you ever meet me, it's pretty much the same experience. All my friends would definitely vouch for me. But I'm seriously so excited to have you guys here, and hopefully going to be able to inspire you guys to take action in your lives and create a business that you really enjoy. Because a big part of what sort of kept me or got me to go out of my comfort zone and start a business was my why. And I talk about this a lot, and I think we're going to talk about this probably next week, but your why is really going to determine how hard you're going to work. And at the time, back in, oh my gosh, this was probably like 5 years ago, my mom had lost her job and we were really struggling. My grandparents were having to help us pay for our bills. It just was not a great situation. And what I learned through that was that, first of all, my mom was relying on one source of income. It was just her paycheck. And second of all, you could see how quickly that could go away and how hard it was to find a job in our economies, particularly where we were living. So that really motivated me to not only build an income at such a young age, but also to create a diversified income approach where I have multiple people paying me. I have multiple businesses or multiple entities bringing in cash flow. So anyway, let's go on to the next slide and we'll talk more about what I've really done in my entrepreneurial journey. So in 2010, I started on YouTube with a Cricut expression at age 11. So back in 2010, there was not a Cricut maker. There was not anything crazy. It was just the Cricut expression and all of my cartridges. And it was so much fun. But back in 2010, everyone was creating videos on a flip camera. Live streaming was not near as where it's at today. But I started sharing videos of what I was crafting. And then I was building an audience, I was building my Facebook page, and I noticed that there was a particular thing that I was looking for that I couldn't find when it came to all of the stamps I was purchasing and, my personal need. So a year and a half, right about a year apart from starting my channel, I decided to launch an acrylic stamp line for dog enthusiasts. And what I love about this is that probably if you're wanting to create a business and you have this problem, others are having the same problem. And in 2011, there was not, excuse me, many people sharing projects or dog related items in the craft niche. So I was like, yes, I want to go head in designing stamps around dog enthusiasts because I love documenting and scrapbooking my dogs and I know how much they mean to me. I bet they're going to mean the same, if not more, to other people. So in 2011, I launched that business and we started out selling, 30 to 50 stamp sets a month or something. I don't even know. And I was releasing probably 2 to 4 designs every single month. But what that business started doing to me was it was keeping me more into customer service and sourcing and designing and less making videos. And remember, that's why I started. So throughout the next year, really almost 2 years, I spent designing cards and scrapbook pages and stamping, which is maybe where we first met online. And then at the end of 2012, a company reached out and asked me to start making videos on their behalf and purchasing them. So I was like, cool, this is interesting. I can make videos and get paid for it. Like, that's nice. But then in 2013, discovered the true meaning of blogging and launched a little craft in your day with my business partner and now girlfriend, Courtney. And it was just took off, honestly. And by 2014, we had grew to over 500,000 visitors coming to our site a month. And that particular site started with one mission, and it was to inspire others to create and craft, but mainly inspire the next generation to create, okay? And then 2017 rolled around and we've been blogging and working with brands and just inspiring people, hopefully, and just having a lot of fun. Cricut reached out in February of last year, maybe April, somewhere in that time frame, to help launch the Cricut Maker. So, and then by November, we had launched our membership site, makersgonnalearn.com. So if you're not familiar with that site, let me know and we can chat about it. But it's a die cutting community sharing digital cut files. So as you guys can see, there's been a lot happen in my past 8 years of being online and creating different ventures. So that's why I felt like it was such a great place for me to create this course, because die cutting inspired me to create all of this. And I would never be able to support my family and to create a job online without die cutting. So there's so many different ways to do this. And I want to make sure that you all are aware of different ways to create money or create an income, not just print money. I mean, if the Cricut could make money, I would be all for it, wouldn't you guys be? Anyway, But that's kind of my background. So that's a great starting point. If you're brand new to any of my content, I'm glad I was able to share that. But now let's start diving into what crafting your brand really means. So let me go to our next slide right here. Defining your niche. So before you can develop your brand, before you can create anything like your branding and what you want to do, you really need to understand your niche. So, or your niche. You can say it either way, I believe. So a niche is a market. A niche market is a focused, targetable portion of a market. By definition, a business that focuses on a niche is addressing a need for a product or service that is not being addressed by mainstream providers. So, what that essentially means is that if you can define your niche, you're going to be able to understand a more specific group of people that is ideally going to find value in your business and be more intrigued to purchase from you, work with you, or watch your content. So for me, our YouTube channel is focused on a lot of Cricut enthusiasts, people that love die cutting, people that love Cricut or just a die cutting machine in general. And it's okay to segment that when you're creating content, but if you're going to spend the time and invest in developing your own handmade items and try to sell them, you really probably will want to understand your niche before creating those. So in tonight's class, we're really going to dive into what it means to have a niche and why it's better to go specific in your business instead of saying creating an Etsy store and popping up cards, scrapbook layouts, some frames, some, vinyl tumblers, and just be a one-stop shop. It's so much more valuable to say, I love making all of these different things, but what I really want to do is create wooden frames or farmhouse frames or signs and all of those different things. So that is a really big thing that I feel like people kind of miss the boat on and forget about when they're starting an Etsy store or when they're starting to sell on eBay or when they're about to list on the Amazon Marketplace for creatives. So you really need to understand who your niche is. And you also want to think about the average consumer. So I know we're super creative. We love crafting. We have invested a ton of money into it. But you have to think about that there's probably even more people that are not interested in creating and crafting. They just want to receive something that is handmade and special and unique to them. I don't think there's been a time in our generation or, in the time we're living, than more people wanting something particularly custom to them than now. Most of the time people were fine with everyone having the same thing from Target or the same thing from Walmart, but more and more people are going to websites like Etsy and trying to find something that is going to be custom to their liking, or something that is not sold to the masses. So that's why I feel like it's such a great time for anyone to head online and create a business that they're really going to enjoy. So what I did was I went and looked and I saw different Etsy sellers and how they were very, thoughtful in their business model. So I did not see a single business on Etsy that was doing semi-well or looked to be very well that wasn't particularly focused on one thing. And they could have a few different types of things, but if you notice in both of these two examples I'm going to show you, they're focused in on very specific things. So this Etsy seller right here does custom name decals, and they show them on, all kinds of different things, whether it's a tumbler, whether it's a wine glass, anything like that. They have it here and they make it known that it's custom name decals. They're not trying to sell monograms. They're not trying to sell anything that's vinyl related. They're particularly trying to make sure that you know their names. And I think in every single product, they make it very apparent that that is what they do. And that's a big thing that a lot of people, and like I say, particularly creative people, forget about and think that that's too simple. This right here, I think everyone in our class could probably say is a super easy thing to do. Put a piece of vinyl on your Cricut mat, cut out a name, mail it to someone, for each name or something. That is a really easy thing to do. But when you think about it, no, someone that doesn't understand how a Cricut works, someone that doesn't have a die cutting machine, they're going to gladly pay you whatever the price may be. In this case right here, it looks like $199 to have these done for Christmas gifts, or just have someone take care of all of that for them, because they don't have the resources, and quite frankly, they probably don't want to have to know how you actually make it. So I hope this inspires you guys to think a little outside the box of what you're probably already thinking, just because there's so many different ways to make money on Etsy or anywhere online. This is another awesome Etsy seller that I found, and I think it's about to pop up. Here we go. So this is another one that I found that has a custom and already made signs. So they make signs for all parts of your home. These are really awesome to make. And if you're in our Makers Gonna Learn community, I actually shared in a live stream how to make your very own. And if you look at the prices that these are going for, they're going for, looks to be like 50 to 40 to almost $60. So these are awesome price points. And what I love is that all of these products are able to come together, and when you look at them, they all make sense to come from this one seller. You can tell that the seller has focused in on what they're good at. You can tell that they are awesome at their signs, and I love the variety that they have. They've had almost, it looks like 3,800 sales, and it looks to be like 2,400 people have admired or favorited one of their products. So you don't see on here, sellers that are doing well trying to do a little bit of everything. They're really able to focus in on what they're best at, or maybe what their favorite thing is. And chances are, if you love making signs, if you have a family, if you have quotes that you love, if you love them, probably other people are going to as well. So that is the first piece of figuring out what your niche is. But then you may be saying, okay, I have this type of product that I think I would love to do. Now let's define who the customer is. And when you are defining who your customer is, these are some of the things that you're going to want to write down and kind of imagine. Their age, their gender, their annual salary, do they craft, and what is your potential customer's lifestyle? So these are things that I would write down and start thinking about. So if you have your pen and paper out tonight, if you're thinking of actual things that you can take away from this and start thinking about over the next few days, start thinking about who you would like to attract as your potential customer. Are you going to be the Etsy seller that is trying to just underprice everyone and just work for anyone? Or are you wanting to be a quality Etsy seller that's prices is equally or maybe a little bit more expensive to create a little bit better quality work. So you have to think about that, because when you're creating your projects and your different items, you're going to want to make sure that you're aligning who you think your customer is with what you're actually creating. Because if you're creating a luxury, a nicer piece for their home, or, a piece of jewelry or a home decor piece, and you're not, taking nice photos of it and you're attracting the wrong audience, they're not going to be able to potentially afford it or not be interested in this. So you really want to think about who your customer is. And a lot of cases for me, I've been able to relate a lot to my customer. For a little craft in your day, when we launched it, we were able to decide, this is a site for the next generation of crafters. So things for their room, things for their dorms, their first apartment. And that is because we were going through the same things. We're wanting to redecorate our rooms so we could relate to them. So when you're defining who your customer is, it may look like someone like you. So you can always think about that as well. And ask your friends. You can always, throughout this whole process, I love the idea of asking your friends, but you have to remember to take their advice with a grain of salt. Just because someone says, oh, I wouldn't pay this, doesn't mean you cannot find people that will. What I love about this is that you are not limited to trying to sell this to your 5 friends and like their 10 friends of friends. You know what I mean? This is something where you're able to, through the power of Etsy and search engine optimization that we're going to be talking about, really create an audience that is going to hopefully be attracted to you because of your product offerings and different things like that. So once you pinpoint your customer, you can focus on what platforms to engage with them on. So once you know where your audience is, who your audience is, then that's going to help you decide, okay, what platforms can I be present on to engage with them? If they're a crafter, they may not go to Etsy because they feel like they can make it themselves. If they're a mom who loves the handmade look and just doesn't have the time, or like we talked about earlier, the material to craft, they're probably already very familiar with Etsy and really enjoy it. Maybe you create jewelry and you don't feel like your audience feels like that's a handmade product. So maybe the Amazon marketplace is going to be a better place for you to try to distribute your product and whatnot. So that's something you're going to definitely want to think about. Okay, so I'm going to grab a drink of water real quick, but the next thing we're talking about is focusing on what you want to sell. So as we've been talking about everything, many small businesses make a big mistake and try to offer every type of service or product they can for their market. So you really want to remember the concept is being known for a specialty. So we're not trying to come up here and try to say that we're going to be the Walmart of Cricut. We're not going to sell anything and everything that our Cricut or die cutting machine can do. Because what happens when you're known for a specialty, they can recommend you and you're going to become known for whatever that specialty is. So not only is that going to help generate repeat business, that's also going to help you from a business standpoint streamline your processes. Figure out ways that you're able to order more in bulk, cut down your cost, create things already created or finish things so that they're there waiting. So you're not always saying, okay, This week, I'm going to have to make 5 vinyl decals. I have to make a sign. I have to make 4 cards. You're going to say, okay, this week I need 20 signs that are 12 by 12, and here's the 6 different variations of designs we're going to put on those. Once you're able to figure out what type of product and really develop yourself as a specialist in a certain niche, that is when you're going to be able to create a business that is scalable and really going to help you focus in on what you're good at. Because if you're not awesome at something and it's going to take you more time to create it than it would for something else, you really have to think about how much time it takes to create and develop. So if you have 5 awesome products that sell pretty well, and each week or each month, that's probably going to take you a lot less time than something that you just randomly decided to try to sell that could take more time to develop and create each one. So we really want you to focus on what you really want to sell. And this is another thing where you're able to say, what do I love making? Is there something that you just absolutely love to create? Because that could be potentially the thing that would work really well for you. Because remember, just because this is a business doesn't mean you can't love it. You really want to make something that you love. So also keep that in mind a lot. So our next item is look for an ignored or forgotten audience. In a handmade market, where do you think you can use your existing skills to find customers that would prefer a specialist over a generalist? So in a handmade market, where do you think you can use your existing skills to find customers that would prefer a specialist over a generalist? So if you guys are with me, answer this question in the comments. I want to hear some of your reactions. I know I've been diving into this, so I want to make sure that everyone is still there. If you're with me, I know this is a different type of class, so I want to make sure everyone is still awake in the classroom. But this is something you really want to think about. What is that particular skill that someone would prefer a specialist over, just a general crafter? Because as you guys know, the more that you make something, the better you get at it. And the more that I make my personal farmhouse signs and different things like that, the more that I love it. So that's really, you need to decide, when is it better to be a specialist over a generalist? Patty says, how can we review this video as we need to? This video will be posted along with all of the other ones, so you'll get an email probably tonight or tomorrow with the link to watch. So if anyone needs to head out or anything like that, this video will be available for you guys to rewatch and everything like that. So there is that. But if there's any particular questions that you guys have, let me know during this little break. I just want to make sure that you guys are still with me and still watching. Yeah, anytime. Okay. So yours has to do with luxury honeymoon lingerie. So wedding fairs. Wedding fairs are awesome. That would be, I love that you know what your particular product is and that it's going to be luxury. That's awesome. And that gives you more time to, I'm sure, spend developing it and creating them. So yes, wedding fairs, and we're actually going to be talking about over the next few weeks and lessons about different places that you can post your products so that you can wait for business to come to you and you're not always having to go out to wedding fairs and different things like that. But one thing, Judy, that I think would be really cool is if you have, a resume and some backlogs of past ones that you've created, and send those out to wedding planners, send those out to photographers and different things like that so that they're aware of what you offer and hopefully could connect you with some potential clients. So, all right, next one up. This is your takeaway. So the biggest thing, if anything, that we want for you to take away from this is that your niche should come from your interest and past experiences. So everything that we've talked about, all of that plays a role in this. But at the end of the day, you need to understand your audience, and the best way that you can understand them is from what you're interested in and what you have experienced and what you have been through with your crafts and different things like that. So that's something that you never want to forget. Patty says, I'm not sure what I want to do, but I know I really want to try something and worried that someone has tried it and not done well. Patty, I think the biggest thing for you is that you can do your research and you can look at other competitors and see how well they're doing, whether it's on Etsy or Amazon or eBay or wherever you want to list your products. Check it out, and I honestly believe in research is going to help you decide what you're going to do. And just like I included the 2 screenshots, I do a ton of research, and I think you would be naive to not do that research. And I'm sure, if they didn't succeed at it, that there's probably reasons behind that, because if you can find something that is trending and something that people are wanting, there's not too many reasons why you can't find where those people are wanting to purchase it. I have several things I love to do, but I'm still deciding what I love most. Still thinking. Awesome. This is one of those things that you really have to take time about to decide. And, just because, don't think of this as something where you're going to have to dedicate, your whole life to it. I've pivoted in my business multiple times from creating just video content to having a stamp line. So there are going to be pivotal moments. And as your business grows and as you grow as an entrepreneur, your business is going to shift. So what you start with today doesn't mean that's what your business is going to be forever. So Peggy says, I hand beaded jewelry, machine embroider, and my Cricut items. I do not have the Cricut items online yet. Oh, I hand sew beaded jewelry, machine embroider, and my Cricut items. Awesome. And if you guys have a lot of time that you can focus on these few different things, there's no reason why you can't set up different Etsy shops or different marketplace so that you're able to market those. You just probably wouldn't want to market all 3 of those together because each of those businesses are for the different type of audience. So Leah says, I used to own an event planning business and love doing kids parties. Maybe party favors for kids parties. I'm not sure. Leah, I think that's an awesome idea. One thing that you said that I really love is that you used to own an event planning business. So that tells me you've worked with people to create party favors and different things for an event. And now that you're on the other end of the spectrum, where you're going to be working with event planners to provide them with party favors, that means you're going to be able to give them a really quality experience working with you because you've been in their shoes. So I think that it would be really great. And you could just also do custom work for bouquets or paper flowers and different things like that. So Mary says, after I retired, I opened a custom quilting shop or a quilting company. Did pretty well, but ended up burning out. Want something that doesn't take weeks to make and is fun. Don't know what that is yet. No worries, Mary. I'm so excited you're here, though, and I think you're going to definitely find something that you're really interested in and that you can enjoy. So awesome. So this is our biggest takeaway here. Write this down if you haven't already and you have notes out, especially because this next one is going to be for you. I'm going to get another drink of water. Man, I've been talking it up. So here are the questions that you're going to want to ask yourself. These are the 4 questions that everyone should be able to answer about each service or product they offer. And so these are your questions to answer. What is your niche? Meaning, who's your client? Who's your customer? Number 2, your customer's problem. So what are their personal struggles? Meaning, what is really going to entice them to purchase or buy from you with your product? So number 3 is your solution. What are you offering them to solve their problem, and how is that going to make their lives easier? And number 4, your promise. What will, your I will, everyone has kind of like that promise. So these are 4 things I would write down, and I'm going to leave these up here for a quick second so that you're able to write these down and kind of think about it. But what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to answer those personally for our website, A Little Craft in Your Day. So since I've shared a little bit about A Little Craft in Your Day and the market for that website, I thought it would be neat for you guys to sort of see how I'm able to word what that company's mission is and what their what A Little Craft in Your Day is there for, so that you're able to see the answers. But again, highly recommend writing these down and just start to think about it and have some fun. What is your niche? Who's the client? What's their problem? What's your solution? And lastly, you don't want to forget, what is your promise? What will you, do to make sure their experience is great? What makes you different that they should, use you for their custom party favors or anything like that? So, okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide. So this is the answers that I would sort of help justify our 4 questions. Number 1, the next generation of creatives. So my niche is the next generation of creatives. So particularly anyone probably under 25 looking for room decor, dorm decor, things for their first apartment type things. Our customer's problem for number 2 was a lack of trending content to inspire room decorating, teen crafts, or fashion projects. So this is their general struggle, is that we felt like there wasn't enough content out there to inspire people to craft that were particularly around our age group. Okay, so number 3, our solution, what we're really offering, was we decided with A Little Craft in Your Day to provide weekly content and inspiration. So we decided to give an outlet for to create a platform to give free tutorials and inspiration. And our promise is that we'll help inspire the next generation to create. So for us, the whole business model is we give out, we pour into people looking for these ideas and crafts, and then we're able to work with brands like Cricut and Walmart and Home Depot or Lowe's to help create the experience and make it better through sponsored videos and sponsored posts and digital ads and affiliate commissions. So that was our business model. And there isn't a right or wrong way to create your business model, whether you're trying to sell, you know, page views or products. There's benefits and things that I would stay away from. But these are kind of our answers. So if you all, like I said, want to come back to some of these questions to answer for yourself, we have emailed you the notes so that you're able to go through this entire slideshow. So as you guys know, the title for tonight's talk is Craft Your Brand. And so far, we have only got to talk about our niche. And the next thing I want to talk about is branding. So branding is different than your niche. And you really have to understand your niche before you can understand your branding. Because if you don't understand who your ideal customer is, how is your branding going to be appealing to said customer? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. It's kind of one of those things that a lot of people get confused by and ask a lot of questions about. So that's kind of what you want to be able to understand. Okay, so let's define branding. Branding is something I love, but it sometimes can be tricky. So defining branding is the marketing practice of creating a name, symbol, or design that identifies and differentiates a product from other products. An effective brand strategy gives you a major edge in increasing competitive markets. So creating a brand, creating an environment, whether this means your logo, whether this means the place where you stage your products for photography, this means how your Instagram looks, all of these different things define your brand. If you create something that is tailored, let's say, to a teenage girl, that you would imagine be shot on like a yellow background that is bright and white and happy, and you end up taking that on a generic brick wall, chances are the same piece of jewelry or same product is not going to be aligned with your audience because they're not appealed to that. And that's something that a lot of people, I think, particularly on websites like Etsy and Amazon, when they're trying to sell their handmade items, doesn't understand, is that you want to understand your audience so that you're able to appeal to them. Because if you're not appealing to their audience, to your audience, how are you going to convert them? So this is just, your branding and how all of that is going to tie together, whether that means the colors on your page, your logo, do you have a little symbol that you're going to put on your business card, and different things like that. So let's talk about different things that is going to help define your branding. So the next one would be, what are 3 words to describe your brand? And these are definitely meanings for you to sit down and think about. This is something I highly recommend to write down. What are 3 words to describe your brand? Think about, is it creative? Is it fun? Some people try to do something sassy that is just really quirky and funny. Think about those words when you're trying to describe your brand, and this is going to help a lot of different things for your business. So for me, we try to be modern, we try to be trendy and easy. Because with a little craft in your day, we want to inspire people that maybe doesn't necessarily craft. So we have to think about that when we're crafting to make sure that someone that is brand new to this isn't going to be super scared and intimidated to craft and create. So that's a big thing. That is something I highly recommend you guys do. So the next question would be, does your brand share the uniqueness of what you offer and why it's important? So again, does your brand share the uniqueness of what you offer and why it's important? So this is kind of going back to what I was just talking about, where if you have a product that aligns with someone younger and that thing, sort of appeals to bright and happy things, and you just shot it on, took photos of it against such a dark and black wall, the same product it'll look the same, but it's not appealing and understanding the uniqueness of what you offer. So you definitely want to be able to understand the brand, to understand the uniqueness of what you offer. So for example, I have a local soap company in town that I absolutely love their soaps. I could honestly tell you that I think it's great. They're super awesome. I use an exfoliating charcoal scrub from them, and it's awesome. And that's the product, but it took me until probably 3 or 4 people recommended it for me to actually try it. And the reason why was that I just didn't appeal with their brand. It wasn't me. It wasn't something I thought I would enjoy. Um, and, through understanding and word of mouth marketing, I finally went and tried it and gave it a chance. But without that word of mouth marketing, I would have never tried their product. And think about all of the other guys or anyone that are struggling with their acne or something, that could find value in that if they were able to, maybe modernize their marketing and branding for their products. So that's just something to keep in mind, and I like sharing those examples. So the next question that you're going to want to think about is, does your brand reflect the values that you want to represent as a customer? And this is a big thing for companies like Tom's. So if you purchase a pair of Tom's shoes, you know that they're sending a pair of shoes to another child in need, or someone that needs a pair of shoes. So is there something like that incentive that you want to incorporate in your business? I know over the holiday season, I was at Target and I knew I wanted to get my mom a new blanket. She's obsessed with blankets. She loves them, and she loves particularly soft blankets. I was about to get this regular Target branded blanket. It was like one of their brands that they own, that was almost the same thing as this other one that was in a nicer box. But over on the corner of that box, it talked about how it was giving blankets to the homeless. If you purchase this one, we give a blanket. And I was like, oh my gosh, my mom is going to love that. And not only did I think she was going to really love that feature, I loved it enough to pay probably $10 or $15 more, because I knew she would appreciate that. So I know people have a lot of thoughts on those types of businesses and values, but overall, is there something like that or something totally different that reflects the values that you want to represent as a customer? I'm a Christian based business owner, and I love sharing everything that a Christian means. And is that you? Do you want your brand to reflect that of what you hope a customer reflects? So that's just another thing that you can sort of be open-minded about. So definitely write down this question as well one more time. Does your brand reflect the values that you want to represent as a customer? So logo and branding options. As you guys know, I know what it's like to be there when you're starting a business and you don't have thousands upon thousands of dollars to spend with a graphic designer or someone to create your logo and your brand. I have been there myself, and I can totally tell you it is hard. But there's so many options nowadays to not only design your own business card at incredibly inexpensive prices, but you can also outsource it and have someone create your logo for anywhere from $5 to $10. But let's talk about this first. You can design your own logo on PicMonkey or Canva. So write this down. If you haven't used either of these websites, they're two really solid ones, picmonkey.com or Canva. And those two are awesome for creating graphics, for creating little things for you to put on Facebook, Instagram. And I know multiple very successful business owners that have designed their own logo on PicMonkey or Canva. You can also use Photoshop. We designed our first A Little Craft in Your Day logo, I believe, on Photoshop, but PicMonkey does the same thing that we needed. So nowadays, I would just recommend using that. Talking about getting someone else to design your logo, I am not a great logo designer. If you all ever ask me to make you a logo, I would just have to kindly decline because that's not my specialty. I could probably help you build your business way better than trying to design your logo. But I've been able to find solutions on Fiverr for other designers that have way more experience than I ever would to design a logo for anywhere from $5 to $10. And I don't know about you guys, but $5 to $10 is an amazing thing for me because I would imagine an hour of my time being worth more than $5. So if I'm able to spend time with my family, relax, and not spend probably more like 3 hours on PicMonkey trying to design a logo, Fiverr has got your back. So you can always ask friends for referrals of inexpensive people to design your business cards and logo. But as well as Fiverr, there's also a website. You can check Etsy for inexpensive logo designers. So there's a few different ways to help get your logo and branding created. What I love is that everything we went through today is going to, once you answer these questions about your brand and your niche, you'll be able to turn those answers over to whoever is designing your logo, if it's not you, to give you the best logo possible. So moving on to our next slide, this is my favorite designer on Fiverr. It's called Boss Designers, and they've designed hundreds of logos on there, and you can see they start at $5 and they go anywhere from $5 to $55. And I believe the $55 package comes with your business cards and letter heading and all kinds of different things. And what I love is that they design 3 logos for you to choose from in 24 hours. And just an FYI, I am not affiliated with this company at all. I've actually used them for my buddy's landscaping business. I actually used it when my buddy came to me and asked for some logo help. So I thought it would be a really awesome resource to share with you guys. And trust me, I do not usually share these little tips and tricks and hacks, but I wanted to give you guys some value. So if you get inspired this week and get your idea for your business started with your branding, that you can really take some action at an inexpensive cost. But remember, guys, you can still design your own logo and everything like that yourself as well. Excuse me. So that's another fun fact. If you would like to write that down, it is Boss Designers on Fiverr with 2 R's. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to share with you today is our 2 branding patterns. So these are what I call our branding guide So if we work with a designer, if we work with someone to help build out our brand, they always provide us with this brand guide. And even if you're creating your own logo and everything yourself, I highly recommend you to do the same thing that we have here. This gives you multiple things to help market your business. So if you look on the left, you'll see Maker's Gonna Learn, which is our membership site. If you haven't joined, we would love to have you. And on the right, you can see our website, A Little Craft in Your Day. So you can see there's different little graphics, there's patterns, there's fonts, there's colors, there's outlines, and logos that are really, really awesome. So this is just something that I would come back to and look at when you're building out your own logos and branding, because these are great resources for you and they're here. And I wish I had knew what these were, 5, 6 years ago when I was first building out my own designs. So this is awesome. But now, guys, let's open it up for you to ask questions and let me know how we can help you build a business that you love. So feel free to start writing in the questions in the comment box, any questions you have, because we're going to use the remainder of our time to answer any questions. And oh my gosh, it is already 7 o'clock. It took us exactly an hour to dive through this whole presentation, and that makes me really happy. So be thinking of your questions. If you have any, I'll be able to answer them now. And if you don't feel comfortable leaving a question in the comment box, my email is right here, as well as you can use a contact form on any of our websites to get your question answered. I would recommend putting in the subject line the name of this class, which is Build a Business Through Die Cutting. That way I know it's related to this class and we can kind of give you special treatment and hopefully reply to your email sooner than later. But do you guys have any questions? Is there anything that you would like to know more about when it comes to thinking of your ideal audience, to developing your niche, to figuring out your branding? Because I think I would love to help you guys out with any of that. As always, I'm available via email. And if you are interested in watching the recorded version of this live stream, we will be sending out that video to everyone so that they're able to enjoy and watch. Judy says, Tanner, you already answered with great ideas. Wedding planners and photographers. Thanks. Oh my gosh, Judy, I'm so excited. If you're happy with that, just get ready, because I think this is going to be an awesome class for you. There's a lot of different places that you can market your existing services. So just stay tuned, especially with this class being so beginner. And since you are already, offering services and products to people, you're just going to excel. So super excited. For everyone watching live, thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday evening to hang out with us. I appreciate it so much. I love it. So Lori says, I have already given my crafts to people for Christmas and birthday gifts to see how they react. Is this a good idea? Lori, I think that's a fine idea. If you want to do market research and give things out to people, ask them for feedback. I would, for everything that you give out to someone, let them know that you are requesting feedback and just make it known that you are actually, wanting to know what they think about it, looking for things to improve and things like that. Because, if they don't know, that you're looking for feedback, they may not give you feedback. Patty says, this has been very informing information. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much for joining us. Denise says, my question above is in regarding to the use of my Cricut Maker to craft product, as well as the knife blade comes out. Denise, did I see your question? Oh, let me scroll up. I have an idea that is so unique, and yet it helps an issue that nearly everyone who owns one of the appliances would want one. At what point do we need a patent? So, Denise, if you're going to start negotiating or talking to people to help you create your product, the best thing that you can do is try to put as much as you can on paper about the potential idea and send yourself a certified letter with all of that information. And do not open it once you get it. What that does is it tells, if someone ever is going to try to take your idea, that you created it, and it's you have this issuing that you have put that on paper. And you can research more. I could email you more information on how to do that. But you just really want to email yourself the information. You have to show proof that you created this idea first, because if someone else can prove that they created the idea before you, even if you filed the patent before them, I believe that it could get tricky. So, music chick art, you made me stop and think. Thanks. Yay. So true. Thank you. Denise, wow, would never have thought of that. Thanks so much. Anytime. We were actually sitting at a conference this past week talking about that with some friends that work at Google. So it was a pretty top of mind subject. But guys, I am so excited. Please keep your questions coming to my email. If you have any questions that you'd like to talk about and answer really quick via email, let me know. I am so excited. Leah says it's been a very informative class. Can't wait to sit down and go over the questions and find my true niche. Thank you. Well, thank you guys so much for joining tonight. I will be emailing you very soon with our next class time. I'm going to try to squeeze in a few, maybe one or two more into next week. But we will have to just sit back and see. So stay tuned to your email. And if you need anything, let me know and I'll chat with you guys soon. So. Oh, for Denise, she should also create an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. Yes, be sure to have an NDA with anyone so they don't just start telling your idea to everyone. So anyway, have a great night, guys. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.